I can make them pay me instead of me paying them constantly.
Ah, interesting. Nicole, anything to add? Why do you write?
Um, Goodness, it's just something I've been doing since I was a kid. I guess to get on like what Emily said, kind of, it's like I was writing Star Wars fanfic before I even knew there was a thing called fanfic. I guess I had seen the movie and I started writing myself into that world because I loved it so much. And I guess maybe that's what I've pretty much been doing since I was a kid, just writing these worlds and, not necessarily writing myself into all of them because I don't think I'd want to be in Tidepool. It's pretty creepy, but just this whole idea of bringing these worlds to life inside my head and just communicating that to other people. It's just something I've always done.
Mm.
I think fan fiction is really something quite awesome. I think everybody should
Yes.
get into that. I think that's an awesome scene. Now, Sean has a third question here. He's typing it right now. What's your favorite part about writing genre fiction and your least favorite? Hmm.
Okay.
M?
Um, my favorite part is um, getting to create things that don't exist in this world and just sort of reimagine. Um, I write not just steampunk, but also fantasy and sci-fi, and starting to write horror. And genre fiction has always had that appeal to me because I get to play with these things that aren't real. Um, but that probably contributes to the least favorite aspect too, is that everything has to, if not have a reason, then feel comfortable enough in the world where your reader won't question it.
Ah, I see. So it's confining.
Uh-huh. So you have to not just come up with this awesome ship that flies through the air instead of in the water, but then you also have to explain how that happens and how it fits into your world. So it can be, it's very freeing, but it's also a lot more thought goes into the stuff in the background than maybe a book that's strictly set in our world.
I have to apologize for Sean. He just jumped on stage and he's like in the middle of the camera. He says, "Sorry, am I on the camera? Am I distracting?" Yes, Sean. Please, can you just walk to the side? Jesus Christ, we didn't talk about it. Okay, he's walking to the side here. He's a big stony guy with kind of a stone-faced guy. How about you, Nicole? Your favorite part about genre fiction and your worst part?
I must say I've never been somewhere where somebody's actually rushed the stage before. Whoa. Now, I think maybe I'd go with my least favorite part first is that, there are people who don't read genre fiction and look down on it, whether it's horror or romance or sci fi. And that could be annoying because I just think there's, great things to be told in a lot of different genres. And
Mm,
specifically with horror, I think sometimes people will make assumptions about you that,
Yeah.
you're like, I don't know, people think you're actually a killer or something or depraved or immoral. And this is kind of a cliche, but a lot of the horror people I've met are just the nicest people you could ever meet. I don't know. It's like I think Chuck Wendig said we get the nasty side of ourselves out in our writing, but
Oh, that's the same with speed metal. I don't want to derail the conversation, but people do know that I played in a regionally famous speed metal band back in the 80s, and we were the most we turned out to be the most well-adjusted people. Anyway, I digress. Continue.
yeah, I think the favorite part of it for me is again, it's just kind of an easy way for me to, well, not easy, goodness, nothing about writing is easy, but just sort of getting dark thoughts and the dark side of myself out on the paper and just exploring some of that parts of myself and angry
Mm,
emotions is trying to express that through different aspects of storytelling. It can be damn therapeutic. Let me tell you, during the
absolutely.
quarantine, yeah,
mhm.
I wrote some dark stuff.
Absolutely.
And, yeah.
Absolutely. And I Shyla found something out about the quarantine and you told me that as well. Maybe we'll talk about it. Real quick, Nicole, you have a new book coming out, and I apologize for Sean. He keeps talking about like he said he never played in a speed metal band, but he played in a Rush cover band. I don't even know if that's true. I think Sean is a liar. But so Nicole, you have your book coming out. It's at Cemetery Gates Media. I put up a
Mhm.
slide here. What's the title of your next book that is coming out?
It's called The Shadow Dancers of Brixton Hill. It should be coming out sometime in June.
Hmm. And
And
still horror.
yes, it is. Yeah, I haven't strayed too much from that lately, but yeah, it's about a troupe of young dancers who have been trained to the point that they can detach their shadows from their bodies and have command their shadows to dance on their own. And
Oh,
but what the trainers don't realize is that their shadows are actually a lot more powerful than people understand that they are. I'm calling it historical circus horror, and I had a lot of fun writing it. I hope people will enjoy it.
wow. That is pretty cool. The Shadow Dancers of Brixton Hill.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds awesome.
Thank you. Yeah,
I
I
will
hope
be
I.
reading it.
Thank you. I loved writing it. I hope people will enjoy it.
Sean, can you get off the stage? He says yes. Okay, so he's leaving.
Aw.
Standing
Bye,
next to Sean.
Sean.
Bye, Sean.
Yeah, bye. He says bye.
Aw.
He says, I will never rush the stage again, he says. Okay, back to seriousness because Shyla who prepared Shyla and Monkey who helped me prepare the show. Shyla has an interesting question that we discussed in the production meeting. Shyla, you want to ask that on voice? Because this is a question about publishing paid me. Hashtag publishing paid me. We talked about this last time you were here. I wasn't aware of this. This is an interesting campaign where people shared what the publisher paid them, the advance that they paid them, and it came out that there was incredible inequity among people. Um, Shyla, you want to ask your question?
Sure. I was going to ask, do you think the hashtag publishing paid me made a long term difference in pay inequities? And do you think pay inequities are limited to major publishing companies, or does it happen in independent publishing houses also?
Um, Goodness, I've got to be honest. I've mostly published with small publishers, and I've never been paid in advance. So
Hmm.
this is a little out of my wheelhouse. I don't know if I can say that I thought that I remember the hashtag. It was a very interesting discussion. I hope that it made some difference because yeah, the difference between by say what African American writers were getting and debut white writers was pretty stark in some cases, and I
Mm.
do hope that it's made a difference. But personally, I'm sort of down in the small publishing world where advances are kind of relatively rare. So I'm not sure if the same disparities exist there. I hope that they don't, but it's possible.
I think that's important to understand, also kind of demystify that there is a whole world of publishing where your book is out and your book may actually be in some stores, but you are not, like you said, there's no advance being paid, there's no retainer. You're basically uh, have to, for the most part, rely on a good spouse, or as somebody once said, behind every successful author, there's a spouse with health insurance.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
Yes.
I mean, right? So Nicole, but when you encounter when that was going on in social media, what did you learn from that? I mean, what was the biggest takeaway? I mean, when I heard about that, I was like, "Whoa, this is really crazy," and everything reminds me of the music business as well because there's also a real disparity. But what was when you sort of from your small publishing world, indie publishing world, where any advance is a miracle, if you will. What did you learn from following that conversation on publishing paid me?
I mean, I was pretty stunned by the disparity between like debut African American or Asian authors and what white people were often paid for comparable books in the same genre, like YA or romance or something. It was pretty shocking. I mean, I'm not, I understand things like that go on, but it's disappointing to see them go on in an industry that, I'm hoping to get some success in eventually. So yeah, it was pretty disappointing and surprising.
Did you feel there was any justification based on um, popularity of a genre. I wonder if people can make that rationale at all, or if they made it like, in a defensive way, like, well, of course people in romance get more money because romance just sells more copies than, I don't know, vampire vampire steampunk.
I mean, I saw different rationalizations like that. I mean, I can't speak to the truth of that, to be honest, because I'm not sure. I mean, obviously romance is quite popular. A lot of YA fantasy also, I think it still is. But yeah, I'm not sure how much you could justify that. It's very strange. People in the same genre would just get very different advanced levels depending on, I don't know. Hopefully, factors like, I don't know. I hope that their nationality was not a part of that. But
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
How about you, Em, when you saw this hashtag going on last year or whenever it was, 2 years ago?
Yeah, I do remember seeing it on social media, and being aware. I'm also I only have one book out in the indie world, so also have never seen in advance, and would not like to show anyone the paychecks I get from Sedition.
Yep.
I also proofread for another small publisher, and same thing, there's no advances going on there, and the payments I get from that are very small because they also rely on sales. Um, I don't know if it's made that much of a difference. Like, I think transparency about this industry is really good, particularly because it is this industry that's been so shrouded in romance and secrecy for so long,
Yeah.
that it feels from the outside, when you don't know anything about it, like this huge glamorous life, because all you see is the like Hollywood interpretation of a writer's life, which is very much not the case and has not been the case for a very long time.
Mhm.
I would hope that there will be changes coming from that, but I think it was definitely more of making a difference for people's expectations rather than truly making a difference in the industry at large. Publishing is very broken in a lot of ways, but particularly in the inequalities and in the way that authors are treated. I don't know if you're aware of the split advances now, but
No?
Yeah.
most publishers since the pandemic have split advances into 4 payments, where the last one usually doesn't come until a year after the book has been out. Um, so rather than getting that chunk of money to be able to live off of and write your next book off of, it's being split out so it's not even a livable wage. So that's something I've seen that's happening a lot too, and it's not sustainable for authors.
Yeah.
So it'd be really interesting to see in the future what happens, because these things are no longer being quietly tolerated by authors. Hopefully we see some changes for the
Yeah.
benefit. Oh, we produce all of the content for this huge multi-million-dollar industry, and we're the ones who are getting paid the least.
Yep. Yep. I saw it in the music industry. I want to remind folks, our guest LL McKinney actually started this hashtag. I completely forgot about that. And there's a disparity. I mean, here I posted this Guardian article in the YouTube chat. John Scalzi, who is a prominent
Hmm.
Mhm.
sci-fi author, got 3.4 million deal for 13 books, and N.K. Jameson got 40,000. So we got more than 3 million versus 40,000. Um, and there's some nuance here, but I think it's well said, M, where you said that it's important that the romantic notion about being an author and living in that world, and not only finding appreciation for your artistic expression, but also uh, cash that you can kind of build a career with to kind of destroy that romantic notion, I think is always good,
Mm-hmm.
to replace that with a little realism, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's really something I think that folks need to understand how hard this is, and how long it takes to actually write a book, and what you need to keep sort of the creditors off your back. Speaking of people who exploit authors, here's one more quick prompt before Shyla is going to read to us something. Speaking of exploitation, this prompt is Amazon. How do you feel about Amazon? Quickly, Nicole.
Oh, a necessary evil, unfortunately, if you're an author. I mean, I know that has so many problems, but it's where I sell the vast majority of my books. It's so dominant, unfortunately. I kind of have to reckon with it.
And for ebooks too, right? I mean, there's
Absolutely.
like
Yeah. Yeah. The
people
vast
always say like, oh,
majority.
Kindle, do you have the Kindle link and
Yeah.
stuff?
The vast majority of my sales have been ebooks, like by a huge margin. So, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, Jessica in the local chat actually asked, why don't you self-publish?
That is a
Um,
whole can of worms.
yeah,
Cool.
I
We
don't
have a
want to
few
be.
minutes for the worms. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Do you want to go ahead, Nicole?
Uh, okay, sure. Yeah, I just I don't want to be responsible for everything about my book. I don't want to have to hire a cover designer. I don't want to have to hire an editor. I would rather just write and let my publisher suss out the cover and get the book layout together. And obviously, I have to do marketing. I think most authors do now, and I'm okay with that. But I would rather let the publisher handle as much as possible.
Hmm.
Yeah, for me, I have a similar sort of take on it, but self-publishing is definitely a whole set of skills that you have to hone,
Yeah.
and have or be able to pay someone who has that if you don't have that. I think it's a wonderful way to get your writing out there if you have the mental fortitude for it. I have a lot of friends who are in self-publishing, and they are way more skilled than I am and way more on top of the ball than I am. And unfortunately, my mental health just won't allow me to try to handle all of that on my own.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
Yeah. And Jessica says here, the local chat, that is a valid choice. I also feel it's a
mhm,
valid choice, but you're making very good points. I think you really need to know yourself and then do what works. And if you are not wired to handle all these other things, the marketing and everything around it, um,
mhm,
if
Hmm.
that is too much, I don't want to say too much as if like, oh my, pull yourself together and just suck it up or whatever. It's completely understandable that you don't want to deal with this stuff. That kind of drains the creative energy out of the other part
mhm,
that's required, which is to create the stories, right? I mean,
Hmm.
mhm,
I do really think that is very personality driven.
Yeah. Yeah. I also
Um,
have some very prolific friends who are very good at it because they can put out books relatively quickly. And man, I am slow. So it's not a good choice for me on that aspect either.
yeah,
yeah,
I think it's completely legitimate to not want to deal with the business part of it. It's completely legitimate. Now, Shyla, could you please, now we're closing out the program a little early today. Shyla has come upon a story called One Man's Trash that nobody told us about, Shyla, right? These guests, they kind of keep it hidden from us.
Oh
But
gosh.
we unearthed this story online somewhere in the internets. It's a
Oh my
Nicole
goodness.
Willson short story,
Yeah.
yeah. And Shyla's gonna read it for us from the beginning to the end. Shyla, you want to
Yes,
take it away? Are you ready?
I'm ready. This is
Here we
One
go.
Man's Trash by Nicole Wilson. She and Mom are driving to the marina to clean out Dad's sailboat, and they ride together in near silence. Every month brings more tasks like this. Every month they pack up more of his things, close out more accounts. His death was only the start of it all. Dad is still being removed from the world, little by little and bit by bit. When they park and get out of the car, they're greeted with the kind of humidity she especially hates. So thick she thinks she'll have to scrape it off her skin with a butter knife. The smells of paint, varnish, and oils don't quite mask the odor coming from the water underneath the pier. The place has always smelled like dead jellyfish to her. She never loved sailing the way Dad did. She knows he wanted her to, and now she wishes she had, that she could have given him that one thing. She pulls her long dark hair back in a ponytail as they find the boat. Mom's brother Dave is already there, standing on the deck. "Hi, ladies," he says, sounding inappropriately cheerful to her ears. This is pretty fucking far from a cheerful occasion, as far as she's concerned. He's flushed red from the heat and gives her a sweaty kiss on the cheek. "Looks like you've been busy," Mom says. He shrugs. "I got here early. I've already tossed out a lot of junk." The word junk lands like a rock in her stomach. And when she goes down into the cabin and looks around, she sees that her uncle wasn't kidding. Almost all of the things down in the cabin, Dad's things, are gone. She isn't happy, and as Mom looks around, she gets the feeling Mom isn't thrilled either. And Dave picks up on their lack of enthusiasm right away. "Look, it had to go. It was just a lot of junk." He's sounding defensive. She usually likes her uncle, but right now she wants to shove him overboard so he'll stop saying that word. And where does he get off deciding what goes before they've even had a chance to look it over? She rummages around the cabin, lifting up the lids of each storage compartment. They're almost empty save for things needed for the boat. Dave must have tossed almost everything, including Dad's navy blue baseball cap with the white anchor stitched on the front. Dad wore it a lot during races or on lazy afternoons sailing around the bay. It's the one thing she always sees clearly in her memories of him relaxing on the boat. She never wore Dad's clothes while he was alive, but since his death, she's been rifling through his closet and his dresser, taking some of his button-down shirts or his white t-shirts back to college to wear. And she wants that damn cap. She doesn't even wear baseball caps, but that one is so specific to him in this particular place, a place where he was really happy. But the cap is gone, and the heat in the cabin is stifling, and Dad's not here, and she doesn't want to be here anymore either. She climbs up the short staircase and clambers out of the boat. "Where are you going, hon?" Mom asks. "Bathroom," she replies. The truth is, she just needs to get away, to cool down, to stop wanting to punch Dave for calling Dave's stuff junk. As if cooling down is even possible out here. She sweeps the back of her hand over her damp forehead, hoping she can find somewhere to hide from the merciless sun. Somewhere that can shut out the noise from the dueling radios blasting vapid pop music or angry talk radio hosts would be a bonus. She hears a noise like a squeaky wheel and looks around until she spots the source of the sound. A skinny, weathered old man with a full head of cotton white hair is walking out of the marina ahead of her, pushing a shopping cart that's full of trash. Old bags, rags, recyclable bottles, who knows what else. She's never seen him before. She has no idea what he's planning to do with his cart full of other people's trash. He pauses outside the marina and rummages through the shopping cart. As she watches him, she spots a familiar patch of blue cloth poking out from the other things in his cart. Her pulse quickens. It's Dad's baseball cap. That old man must have scavenged it from wherever Dave tossed it, and she's got to get it back before he takes everything away. She starts walking faster, not quite running because she doesn't want to seem that pushy, desperate. She has no idea if he's one of those people who will hang on to something just because they know someone else wants it. Almost as if he can read her thoughts, the old man reaches into the cart again and pulls out Dad's cap. He turns it over in his hands a few times and tugs on it a little to straighten out the brim. He brushes it off and studies it, holding it close to his face and squinting. She quickens her pace. As she's about to open her mouth to call, "Excuse me, sir," the old man puts her father's cap on his head. She stops hurrying. The words die in her throat. The old man starts pushing his cart again, and the squeaky wheel makes its squeak, squeak, squeak sound as he heads off down the sidewalk with his cart of stuff. She watches him walk away with Dad's baseball cap still on his head, and she doesn't stop him.
And that is Shyla reading One Man's Trash by our guest Nicole Willson here on the Second Life Book Club. Thank you, Shyla. It's a
Yeah, thank
wonderful
you.
reading.
Yes, thank you very much.
So that's a wonderful story that is very personal to you. We understand.
Yeah. Yeah, you might have probably already figured that's actually very autobiographical. My dad died when I was 18, and so that's I fictionalize it a little bit, but there was an incident that happened somewhat like that pretty soon after he died. So yeah.
Mm.
Wow.
Yeah, that was when I was writing stories for the Weekly Knob, that publication on Medium, and so the prompt one week was shopping cart. So that immediately came into my mind. Oh, thank you, Charlotte. Thanks, everybody.
This is really wonderful. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to get off another tangent. I can relate. My mother passed away when I was 18 as well. It
Oh
it
dear.
it makes you, with distance comes, you realize how that creates your core personality. Those types of things were at the, when it happens, you don't know if you can continue, but then you do continue, and then you realize, wait a minute, that there is a lot of stuff about me and what I put back into the world that was informed by this tragedy, pretty much.
Mhm, mhm.
Th- these short stories, and I know last time you talked about the weekly knob, which is cool. I was gonna ask M before we have to close out a little bit here. As much fun as it was and still is, do you participate in things that give you sort of regular writing prompts to kind of, I don't know, keep the skills sharp? I mean, there's a lot of stuff. I mean, I hear people always talk about this writing thing in November. Now I forget what it was called.
NaNoWriMo.
NaNoWriMo.
Oh, nano, that'll do.
Yep. As my work called it once, NoMoWriMo. I don't currently. I will be participating in the TLDR flash fiction competition at the
Ah,
beginning of April, which that's a first for me. I have struggled a lot with short form fiction in the past, mostly because I want to expand it and make it way too long. So, for example, I wrote a short story, quote unquote, in college that turned out to be 30,000 words. So it was a novella by the time I finished it,
Yeah.
but um, I have just started getting into that world and trying to explore, because I'm really fascinated by short stories and in particular
yeah.
the the skill of distilling all of that character and story and setting and all of those
The
things
setting
into
and the
very
world
few
building,
words.
yeah, it's amazing.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. And then it's so economical. I mean, it is
Mhm.
fascinating.
It's a very different kind of writing where you have to be very careful with your words. So I'm just starting to explore that world a little bit, but I'm hoping to get more consistent with short form fiction and finding places where I can submit that.
I always hope, and I mean, I mean, this is pure speculation on my part as a reader, but also a little bit my experience as a video producer. We live in a world where people consume content like there is no tomorrow. And again, I don't want to talk
Mm,
back bad about, but I think the appreciation, I don't know, and I don't know how to solve this, but there's this hunger for content, and I hate that word, by the way.
mhm,
Um,
Mhm.
and there is little appreciation sometimes of how much work goes into certain things, and especially short forms. And I tell people when I do a very short Second Life video, for example, I do these weekly videos, and sometimes they're very short, and sometimes they're longer, and there's it's a different different work is involved. But the short ones with a little micro story, they can be often very complex
mhm,
in their construction, just like a short story. And not that I need constant like appreciation of, oh my God, Drax, this is so great, but sometimes it's a little frustrating to me that people click on it and I don't know, maybe, oh yeah, cool, somebody put something together and don't go deeper into like, oh, there is something deeper in there. And I talked with Shyla before and as well, the same can be true for poetry or other short forms where people just consume it quickly and don't reflect on it. It's just a consumptive process without any deeper type of engagement. I don't know. This is like I'm ranting here. But do you have any thoughts on this? Do you feel like it makes me sound very old, I guess. Whereas, like, oh, in the olden days, people were sitting there and they're reading their books, and then they would reflect 3 hours staring at the wall and reflecting on it. It's probably also not true, but the ubiquity of entertainment today, I would argue, is really contributing to just to reflecting less
mhm,
because you can just binge do the other thing once you're done with the one
mhm.
thing. Anyway,
Yeah,
eh,
that's
take it where you will or nowhere.
Yeah, I think there is a culture of consumption, particularly with the internet and the way things are thrown at our faces so fast
Mhm.
all the time, and it never stops. But I do think there's also these um, smaller subcultures that I'm discovering in exploring different genres and exploring the short fiction world that there are still people who will take those things more slowly and really think about them and talk about them in that way.
Mhm.
Um, but I think because of this overarching consumer culture, it's harder to find.
Yeah. Yep. Very good point. So let's take that, and next time you read a short story like Nicole's or a poem or watch one of my videos, Just watch it 3 times, read it 3 times, then go for a walk and think about it before you click on the next thing, okay? Everybody in the room, please type in local chat, yes, yes, sir, I will do that. And then I will close out the program here. Our guests today, Nicole Willson and Wright. Wonderful to have you guys here, and best of luck with your future ventures. Please, folks, seek out their work. You can order it on the Evil A Word thingy uh, in ebook format or on physical format, and pre-ordering is very important,
Yes,
right?
please. There
Let's
will
get
be a
yeah, go ahead.
pre-order campaign coming soon. So if you do pre-order, keep your receipts. Watch my Twitter.
Follow their Twitter, check out their websites, and seek them out. Please, links in the local chat. We'll have folks putting that in the local chat right now. You can do that too. I think Shala has them ready, but Nicole is already typing. There you go. That's the spirit. Um, put the Twitter links or website links in the local chat. I'm going to say thank you again, Emily and Nicole. Thank you, audience here in World and on YouTube. We apologize for the restream. We had to restart the stream, but everything is on, and they're just in chunks and little parts. So I will relabel them, and they'll be on the channel. If you like what we do, please consider supporting this program by tipping the tip jar. There's a tip jar in front of us here on the side of the stage, actually. The little statue, you can tip that tip jar with Linden dollars. Oh, it doesn't say tip jar on it, but it is a tip jar. Trust me. You can also donate via Ko-Fi. That's in the YouTube description. There's a link right there. Or you can join the YouTube channel. All that stuff helps us out tremendously. The Second Life Book Club is coming up on 3 years. It was established April 8th,
Wow.
2020. Unbelievable.
Awesome. Wow.
It's unbelievable, Nicole. And, I like all the authors. I like the little authors. I like the big authors. But I do have to say, Charles Yu won the National Book Award after he appeared on the Second Life Book Club, right? I mean, is there causality? I think so.
I hope so.
The show is produced by me. The camera and sound is by Isabel Sharin. The avatars are made by Bespoke Caravan for the most part. Sometimes they're made also by Isabel. Research by Shyla Supergecko and Monkey. The location is always second.life/book club. That's a URL that will open your Second Life viewer to the right location where we teleport you around the islands every week at the respective location. Draxtor.com/SL Book Club is the website where you can find the calendar, and the show is on every Wednesday at 12 o'clock Pacific time, which is 12 o'clock Second Life time, unless we have someone from Australia. We get support from 2 Second Life creatives. Bespoke, already mentioned them, Bespoke Caravan. They make amazing, fantastical avatars. You see them here. And in my ad read, I was told that they're not furries. They may include furries, but they're much more than furries. They're fantastical. Fantastical is the term I'm supposed to use, which I am. The other supporter is the Black Forest, board games, low land impact, high detail board games, gadget games, vehicles, and more. I say it every week. These are amazing games. Sometimes they are variations of existing games. You see here chess, obviously. Now I can only think of the German name, Schiffe versenken, battleships, I think is the English term. But Arduin from Black Forest also makes his very own games that are absolutely fantastic, and they're very cheap. I think they're like 10 Linden dollars or something like that. So, and next week we have Ray Naylor. Ray Naylor has a book out called The Mountain in the Sea, and we'll discuss that. Ray Naylor next Wednesday, 12 o'clock. David Mitchell blurbed his book, otherwise I wouldn't read it, but now I have to. I'm just joking. Thank you very much for coming to the show. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll all see you next Wednesday at 12 o'clock. Second Life time right here in the Second Life Book Club. Goodbye.